If you guys recall earlier from this year, you might know that I have not exactly been the biggest fan of Apple's Vision Pro headset. And I've gone off so many times about how I am trying to basically understand this product. And I had to keep bringing up every single time that I have to reserve some judgment about it until I actually try the headset for myself. I finally did that. Now that I have finally tried the Vision Pro on for myself, I'm going to give you all of my impressions, and I can't necessarily give you a review because I've only had 15 minutes with the product. But still, it was enough to finally solidify my thoughts and opinions on it. We're going to do that. Let's cue the intro. So the first thing that I had to deal with when it came to putting the headset on was the fact that I wear glasses. And I wear glasses for a very, very good reason. So they had a little machine there that does its best to scan the lenses of my glasses, though a bit of an issue that I knew was going to be a problem that happened was my prescription is so unique. How do you expect the Apple Store to have all of the different lenses on hand so that way anyone can just test it? So as a result, I didn't necessarily get the greatest viewing experience. I know it can be improved if I were to actually send Apple my actual prescription so that way they can make the actual custom lenses necessary so I can actually see the entire thing with full clarity. But I'll give them credit, they did their best and they at least came prepared for people who wear glasses and tried to find a solution for them. So I put the headset on, I tightened the headband strap, waited for it to turn on, and did my best to calibrate the eye tracking sensors. And as a result of me kind of struggling to see, because again, the prescription was not perfect and it was actually a little worse than I thought it would be, it resulted in me kind of struggling to calibrate the actual eye tracking sensors because I have a slight eye turn, and that's another thing my glasses help me with. It helps me with my eye turn. When I don't have my glasses, it's not helping with my eye turn, and as a result, trying to calibrate those eye tracking sensors was anything but easy. But I at least got somewhere. It only took a few tries to actually get it calibrated, but eventually, after a little calibration, we were in. I was taken to the home screen. Then the Apple Store employee took me on a tour through the Photos app and Safari and through TV to get me to experience the immersive functionality of it. And this is the part that I wanted to reserve judgment on. How great of a job is it actually going to do in terms of actually immersing you into this virtual world? How good of a job is it? From outside and before when I tried the headset on, it was pretty much, it depends on who you ask. If you ask my friend Teddy from the iTunes Fanboy, he will tell you that it is not immersive at all and that it just completely sucked. It wasn't good for him. Compared to John Prosser from Front Page Tech, he's so gung-ho about the whole thing. If you ask me, I'm somewhere in the middle, but closer towards very impressed with how immersive it is. Obviously, there are some details in software tuning that Apple does need to work on, like isolating your hands from the background. It's okay, but it definitely could use some software tuning and better isolation because there's definitely this very fuzzy line that traces your hands and such as it's trying to isolate them from the background. And so, yeah, there's some software tuning that's necessary, but the thing that ultimately convinced me on how impressive it is at immersing you in its virtual environment, I have a hatred for heights, okay? I do not like heights. And there were some scenes in the Vision Pro that actually managed to trip that hatred for heights. If it's enough to actually trigger one of my biggest fears, okay, this is so impressive tech. In terms of the 3D elements, I could not really experience those because, well, I naturally do not see 3D in the real world even. Yes, even with my glasses, even with whatever is necessary to correct my eyes, I cannot see 3D. Because I can't even see 3D in the real world, I can't see 3D in Vision Pro, obviously. Apparently that that blew the Apple Store employee's mind. He's never heard of anybody who actually can't see 3D. And at this point, I don't really have much to talk about. It was only a 15-minute experience, a 15 to 20-minute experience I had with the Vision Pro. The tech itself is very impressive, but once again, I am coming back to the same issue that I have had with it that I've been telling you guys since the beginning. Since last year when Apple Vision Pro was announced, since half a year ago when its launch date was announced and when reviews were already coming out about it. And guess what? I have come to the exact same conclusion about the product as when it was initially announced and when it came out. The hardware and the tech and everything about it is impressive, but in terms of what am I supposed to use this for, I can't think of anything outside of a $3,500 play toy. And even if I put the price aside, let's pretend that this was given to me for free. What would I use this for if this was given to me for free? The truth is, I don't know how to use it in my daily life. To me, it's just a very cool play toy. And that's factoring out the $3,500 price tag. I even asked the Apple Store employee who's in charge of the demos, what exactly would he use this for? What does he think of it? And without me even discussing what I thought about the Vision Pro headset, he told me the exact same conclusion that I came to over a year ago at this point. I think that's why the internet really has stopped talking about Vision Pro altogether at this point, because seriously, it was cool when it came out, but I think more and more people are starting to learn that this is not a very useful tool in everyday lives. Unlike the smartphone, our smartphones today are such useful tools that we go crazy if we happen to lose these or break them. We rely on these tools so heavily. It's our communications device, it's our camera, it's our selfie machine. And while sure, the Vision Pro can do phone calls or video calls or take photos and videos, the thing is, this does it better. This does all of those things better. What about the viewing experience? Because according to people, it makes an amazing personal theater. Well, here's my issue with that. Well, the advantage of it being a headset is supposedly you can make a humongous screen in a very tight space. That's a problem with our screens and our TVs today. Say you want to have the biggest TV you can, but I know in some instances you're going to be limited on the size of the TV you can get, not necessarily because of budget, but actually because of where the TV needs to fit in the house. Size limitations like that are going to affect what size TV you're going to get. In theory, with Vision Pro, you can have an unlimited size, the biggest TV you ever want, and you're not working with the physical restrictions of your room's walls. But here's the issue that I have with that. Despite that, you might be dealing with a smaller screen. If you happen to be in a tighter space, you're probably going to find yourself actually sitting closer to that screen. Having big screen, humongous screen and tight space, probably not actually going to look that humongous if you put the Vision Pro TV window next to an actual TV in a tight space. It's probably not going to look that different. But what about the 3D video and the 3D photos that most TVs can't actually do today? I think it's safe to say at this point that 3D videos and 3D photos are actually a bit of a bust. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased in the way that I cannot see 3D, so as a result, it's just not important to me. It's just, I've asked so many other people about what they think of 3D photos and 3D video, and they all tell me that it's not really necessary. We've gotten by with 2D screens for so long, and I've gotten by my entire life with 2D vision for so long that 3D at this point isn't completely necessary. In terms of trying to figure out what to use this product for, even after trying it out, I can't think of anything else other than to use it as a play toy. That's all I can come up with. Turns out my initial impressions were right from the very beginning of when this product was announced. I thought that the hardware was very impressive, but in terms of making a big splash in the tech market, it's just not really going to. And this is setting the price aside. Ultimately, I can't figure out what to use this headset for store, and so many people who actually did end up buying it for either review purposes or whatever, I've heard that the majority of people have returned it, not necessarily because it was expensive, but because they didn't get that much use out of it. And in a sense, it was actually less practical of a device to use than this, because you have to store Vision Pro in a case when you're not using it. Battery life is only 2 hours. Unless you're plugged in, then you get all day battery life. It's hard to share the experience with other people because of the eye tracking and the calibration, the constant calibration that needs to be done with that thing. It naturally is just difficult to use in the real world compared to pulling out your phone from your pocket, just looking at it, and Face ID instantly does what it needs to do to unlock the phone, and then a simple swipe up with the touchscreen. And the best part, if you want to share someone a photo that you took, it's so easy. It's called turn the phone in their direction, and then they can see the photo too. How do you do something that simple in Vision Pro? Oh wait, you can't. So this is not just me dunking on it for being a first-gen product. I get it. First-gen products are typically going to have issues, like, for example, I mentioned that it's not necessarily the greatest at isolating my hands from the rest of the background. I'm okay with that. That to me is an okay excuse for it being a first-gen product. That will naturally get better over time as software tuning comes along and such. So things like that, that is okay to excuse as being a problematic for a first-gen product. But to me, my number one complaints with it, that actually it doesn't really matter whether it's a first-gen product or not. How do we use this? If we can't figure out how to use this, then why bother? This is exactly the problem that the Humane AI pin has had. Because for the most part, it was a very much useless device. It worked so slowly for the things that it could do, and for the most part, it really just couldn't do much, and turned out it was a very pointless device. As a result, how many people do you think are buying this thing? Well, considering that Humane has sold itself to, I don't even remember who bought Humane, to be honest, but I know somebody who actually bought. Oh, right, it was HP. So yeah, considering that they had to sell themselves, I guess that means their product was flawed from the very beginning. There's some products that just don't make sense and aren't that practical to use on a daily basis, and Vision Pro is one of those products. And now I can't hold back any judgment because I have finally used the product myself. Those are my genuine thoughts on the Vision Pro. It's very impressive, it's very cool tech, but it's not useful in our day-to-day lives. Alrighty, thank you for watching. Do me a favor and interact with the stuff below. My name is DeWolf, Random Alpha, signing out.